Innocent until proven guilty. Well, that seems like a quaint notion under Trump's steamrolling of constitutional law, but the law, it is. And today's breaking story is about the judge who is enforcing the law by standing up to Trump on behalf of those famously deported on that flight to El Salvador. That judge, James Boasberg, ordered return. But he's also standing up to Trump on behalf of you and me because the implications of presidential ignorance of court-ordered mandates takes us past the point of no return for our cherished democracy. That's all. Now, before we drop today's bombshell revelation, let's hit the important details of Trump's deal with El Diablo in El Salvador and the judge who just might save democracy.
Now to the Trump administration's immigration crackdown as it escalates its attacks on a federal judge in the legal battle over the deportation flights of hundreds of Venezuelans. Our chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce is tracking the very latest. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Lindsay. Well, the Trump administration is now facing a federal judge's deadline in just hours. The court demanding more information about these deportation flights and whether they violated the judge's order. This morning, the court demanding answers, giving the Trump administration until noon today to turn over information about those hasty deportation flights carrying hundreds of Venezuelan migrants who the White House says are violent gang members.
Our lawyers are working on this. We will answer appropriately.
But so far, the administration has been stonewalling. Judge James Boasberg says he wants specifics about when exactly the flights took off and left U.S. airspace, after the administration ignored his verbal directive to turn the planes around and return the migrants to the U.S. immediately. Boasberg writing that he's seeking this information not as an unnecessary judicial fishing expedition, but to determine if the order was deliberately flouted, and if so, what the consequences should be. But the White House escalating its fight with the judiciary.
They are trying to dictate policy from the President of the United States. They are trying to clearly slow walk this administration's agenda, and it's unacceptable.
Boasberg, acting within his authority, is examining the president's use of a rarely used law, the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, to deport the Venezuelan migrants with little to no due process. The administration insists the men deported were all gang members, but has not released their identities and provided little evidence of the threat they posed, citing privacy concerns.
We're not going to reveal the operational details of a counterterrorism operation for quite obvious reasons.
Asked if the country is nearing a constitutional crisis, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer weighing in.
Our democracy is at risk because Donald Trump shows that he wishes to violate the laws in many, many different ways.
The president even calling for the impeachment of Boasberg. And now sources tell ABC News Elon Musk, the world's richest man, has been making maximum donations up to $3,500 to the congressional campaigns of several Republicans who have publicly spoken out against Boasberg and backed calls for his impeachment. But Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska is warning of the dangers of the administration's showdown with the judiciary.
When the court's orders are defied, that weakens our courts. When the people no longer believe that the system of justice is there for them, what do we have in this country?
And now this morning, sources tell us that the Trump administration is considering dramatically expanding the role of the U.S. military along the southern border. The plan, sources say, includes creating a buffer zone along the border that would allow military personnel to temporarily hold migrants who cross into the U.S. illegally until federal law enforcement arrives.
Okay, this is big, it's breaking, and it's game-defining. Trump versus Boasberg, lawlessness versus order. MSNBC just reported minutes ago.
An order from the D.C. District Judge James Boasberg. He said he finds probable cause to hold the administration in contempt over these deportation flights. I'll read you a brief bite of what he said. He said if defendants opt to purge their contempt, they shall file by April 23rd a declaration explaining the steps they have taken and will take to do so. What does this mean, and where does this go next?
This is getting real. So this is the Trump administration will have to respond either by complying, which they're unlikely to do, or saying, you know what, we're not going to listen to the district court, and we're not going to listen to the Supreme Court of the United States, and then we will be in uncharted territory.
You know, I've said it here before, and I'll say it again and again and again. That plane did not turn around. It didn't turn around because the cameras were in place, the stage was set, and the gate was checked for the biggest propaganda production well, that we've seen by Trump so far. Now, I've created a few big-time TV videos and productions for some of your most beloved shows.
This is Jeopardy!
But those are harmless game shows. What Trump is selling is evil. And marketing a message to impact an audience, well, it happens to be the same no matter the content. And I can promise you, to sell his brand of evil, well, there will be more big-budget propaganda productions for sure. And on Occupy Democrats, we'll always have notes.